Hello everyone, today is December 14th, 2011, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a seedling update. I did my transplanting today. I transplanted 6 of the 9 tomatoes, and I only kept 1 the cucumber. I'll show you in a minute here. The reason why I only kept 1 cucumber is not because they didn't grow well. It's just that trying to keep a cucumber alive indoors in a house, I don't know if that's the best thing for it. But yeah, let me show you what I have here, and remind you, these are only 3 weeks old. 3 weeks from seeding, not 3 weeks from germination. 3 weeks, well, not even, well, almost 3 weeks from direct seeding. But here they have more than the first set of true leaves. All of them really do, and they all, once you get to the point where they start smelling like tomatoes, you know you're on the right track. I actually did lose 2. If you remember, I had 9 of these. In the 9 cell, the one I just didn't use, and 2 of them I actually lost to dampening off. I think it was the other day, I missed a day of watering. I just was busy and I guess forgot. So then the next day I came in, they started to looked a little wilty, so I gave them an extra bit of water. And I was trying to water sparingly, not keeping them wet, and keeping them more on the drier side. Let those roots search for water, but that's the biggest. That's gonna be the biggest challenge for me when I start doing these in a full production mode and have 50 tomato plants or 50 peppers. Is going to be water management. That's my biggest thing. Everything else you can have on timers, your lights, your heat, your auxiliary wind or fans. Water is the only one that you got to really watch out for. The other things are a lot more forgiving, or usually just leave them on all the time, such as a heat mat when they're germinating, a fan, lights, or on timers. But anyway, these are all planted very deep, as deep as I could plant them, up to the first set of their leaves. These aren't the true leaves. These are, I believe, they're called the cotyledons, which they're their first leaves, but they're not their first true leaves. As you can see, these are like real skinny and smooth, and these actually start looking like real tomatoes with the root hairs and everything on them. So these are planted deep. I will give them a little shot of, I think I have a 10-52-10 fertilizer, which is a seed starting or a transplant fertilizer to help get the roots going. I'll probably give that to them maybe, I don't know, over the weekend or next week. But anyway, of the cucumbers, since you shouldn't see any of the root balls, let me show you what some of these look like. These are the rest of my cucumber plants. This is my little, I don't know, soil bin or whatever. But this is the root system that was on the other cucumbers. I mean, this one looks just as good as the other one did, but But if you look at this, the cell that I had this in was like around the 1-inch cell, and these things were crazy, like root bound. Not crazy root bound, but they're root bound to the point where it was time for them to be transplanted. Anything longer than this would have probably stunted their growth, or it might even started already. And these are only, again, 3 weeks. So, as you can remember, these are the ones that I used, the little 1-inch cell. But I have it underneath there, if you can see it, those are about a 1 3/4 inch cell. And I actually even have some 2-inch square pots, 2-inch square seedling flats that I made start my cucumbers, my winter squash, my pumpkins, melons, whatever, things that are bigger seeds that tend to put out a lot more roots earlier, because you don't want to you don't want to transplant your cucumbers and your squash plants before you put them out in the garden. You want to plant them in a cell, either in a little peat pot or a little cell. You plant it, and then 3-4 weeks, maybe even 5 weeks, if they'll be in there, and you want to put them right out in the garden. You don't want to mess with the roots. You don't want to mess with transplanting them. I just did this as an experiment. But tomatoes and peppers that are going to be inside for 8 to 10 weeks, eggplant probably 10 weeks, possibly even longer depending on the weather. You have to transplant them at least once. These will be fine in probably these size pots for another 4 to 5 weeks, and if you add that on to the top of 3 weeks that you're already at, right there you're at your 7-8 weeks, and that's your limit for that's your recommended transplant time for tomatoes. So I'm anxious to see what these look like, as well as the cucumber, as the weeks go on. And sorry for rambling. This is my 3rd time taping this. I just seem to ramble too much. But anyway, that's what I have. Thanks for watching.